Our next state that we're going to look at is our patrol state. We're going to select on the Edit button. As we select it, we can see that the header has changed to patrol state, and we can now look at the options available. Again, we have our trigger, our animation, our movement, our cooldown, and our audio. Those are always going to be persistent. Below that, we have some options for specifically for our patrol state's movement. So we have movement options. Inside of here, we have a patrol mode. The patrol mode allows us to say, how is he going to go throughout his waypoints, the navigation points that we create? Will he go once through them? Will he loop? Will he ping pong back and forth? Or will he continue it forever? The next one we see is a continue previous patrol point. Now if you do hover, you will get some additional help. So this is saying that when this state is switched back to it, what will it continue as far as where will it continue when it's left off? So if we look at it, we say I'm coming back into a patrol. Do I reset to the start? Do I continue previous? Do I go to the nearest node, or do I do the nearest next node? So a nice little option for that. Below that, we have a locked path that keeps it constrained to the path so that it can't get off of it. Below that, we have a use node action. The use node action is used to tie back into any trigger event on a script. If we run across that node and we want it to actually affect the state of the character, we can tie it in there. Below that, we have our patrol points. These are the points that we actually use for the character to follow. So we have a patrol points group. Below that, we have the distance threshold. This is how close they have to get to those points in order to accomplish it and move on to the next one. So let's start off with this one. If we were to play this one out, we're going to get information out at the bottom that gives us a warning. The warning is that the variable patrol points group is unassigned for the patrol state on the avatar. So what it's looking for is a set of points, the empty game objects, that it wants to use to follow. So let's go ahead and set that up. We'll start off by moving into our character. We'll drop in a new game object, Control Shift N. And with our game object, let's go ahead and go to a top view so that we can see this a little better. We'll set up a couple of points around. The naming convention is not locked down, so you can call it whatever you want to call it. We'll do this one a node 1. We'll make a copy of it. We'll call this one a node 2. What it does do is increment throughout your nodes. So if you do them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's going to follow them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is a good idea to number them in that way. Now what we have is we have 3 different nodes. We can apply these, set these into a group. So let's go ahead and make one more game object. We'll call this our node group. I'm just going to drag and drop these into the node group. Next thing I can do is set a visual cue for these. We could write a script for showcase our gizmo, or we can take advantage of the new features in Unity and just select an icon. So we'll go in, select on each one of the nodes, assign an icon to it, which helps to make it much more visible as we work with the patrol points. Rotate back around. One of the things that we want to make sure that we are aware of is the height of these patrol points. If we have this too high, it's going to be where he can't get to it, and he won't be able to get to it. So let's make sure we set them where he can get to. Okay, I'm going to move this one over just a little bit. There we go. Let's select back on our character. As we select back on our character, we'll go back, make sure that we're in our patrol edit. At the bottom, we have our patrol point group. This is looking for a group. Instead of having to assign each one individually, we've set it up so that you can simply select on that group, drag that group, and drop it into the patrol points group. And that gets everything set up for you. Alright, now without tweaking any of the other properties, we've got it set on loop. Let's go ahead and just hit play and see what happens. So we can see the character rotating to the target, moving to it. Once he gets to the required threshold of that target, then he picks that next target, moves to it, then continues moving around from each navigation point to the next. And patrolling like a good enemy ought to patrol. Alright, we'll go ahead and stop that. We'll scroll out just a little bit. So what we have is the character moving from one point to the next point to the next. At any point in time, you can simply just add additional pathing nodes to it, and then he'll just path to those points. Nice and simple. Alright, we're going to select on the idle on the edit for the patrol. We're going to scroll back down, and we're going to take a look at some of the movement properties for this. One of the things you'll notice is that as that character gets that point and turns, that speed is kind of slow. We could speed that up so that he whips around a little bit quicker. Let's bump that to maybe 180. And the distance to the threshold, if we want it a little bit softer around those turns so he doesn't quite hit that that point, we can bump that up a little bit more so that our threshold is higher. And this time around, I'm actually going to drag the game view down so that we can also see our scene view. We'll hit play. There we go. And we can watch how much more quickly he'll turn. Much better. He gets to that point. He doesn't go quite as far into that transform position and turns around to the next one. So the patrol state selected, we'll go back down, we'll take a look at what else do we have to use in here. The continue previous path, this depends on if we're triggering in and out of the patrol mode. With the patrol mode type, we could do just once, just to kind of see how that works. Now if I select on the patrol mode once, then what is the in patrol transition? So we could idle, and since we have looked at idle, we'll go ahead and idle. So we'll hit play. We'll watch our character move around from one position to the next. And when he gets to that last position, then we idle. There we go. Nice and easy. Alright, that's going to wrap it up for the patrol state.